friends, my name is Kayla Rain, and today I am going to be talking about female representation in the media. So my friend Morgan from LittleWordWeaver recently put up a video talking about female representation within the Marvel universe, and she got some pretty nasty comments, and she definitely wanted to make sure that something good came of all that because that was just a really awful situation. But Morgan wanted something good to come from this experience, so she wanted to have a further discussion on why representation in the media is important. So within my discussion, I'm going to be talking about sexism in the media, dehumanization, and intersectionality, because those are all important things to me when talking about representation of females in the media. So I am someone who consumes media on a daily basis. I often watch television shows, I listen to podcasts, I read books, I watch movies. I love media. I'm someone who also creates media on a pretty regular basis. So I'm not someone who is here to completely take a dump on media because I love it. And there are some great representations of women within the media that break down stereotypes of what women should be and don't over-sexualize them and actually treat them as equal human beings to men. Those are all fantastic, and I definitely appreciate that those things exist. However, there is still some inequality within representation of women in the media, and there is an issue in the way that women are represented in some shows. Women in the media are often over-sexualized and shown as sidekicks to male characters. Women are represented as incapable, unintelligent, and in need of a man constantly, and even some of our representation of strong women within the media, sometimes they have to be represented that they were raped or beat up or escaped an oppressive man to have value as a woman, as if a woman can't have value just on her own without a male counterpart. These negative and limited perceptions of women set a standard that women are weak, incapable, and sexual objects, which in turn leads to daily sexism for women and also dehumanization. So something that is very problematic about this is we set out this standard of what women are, and in the media, if we're presented as sexual objects, as incapable and constantly in need of a man, what does that say in the real world when we don't have better representation for what women truly are? 1 in 4 girls will experience dating violence. 1 in 4 women will be abused by their romantic partner within their lifetime, and 1 in 6 women will survive rape or attempted rape within their lifetime. And when we have media saying that these things are okay and that that's normal for women to be sexually objectified and weak and abused, we see that reflected in the real world as actually happening, and that's not okay. We need to see better reflections of women in the media so we can show that women are complex, they are diverse, they are important, and they are equal. And when talking about dehumanization, we cannot go without talking about intersectionality. Data in 2011 shows that 11% of film protagonists were females and 30% of primetime television characters were females. Now that is a very small percentage in itself, but when you break that down further, how many of those women were women of color? What about women of a different sexual preference? What about transgender women, women with a different religion or a different cultural background? It is a sad fact that most of the women in the media that represent women in general, whether it's done well or done poorly, are white, cisgender, straight women, which leads to more dehumanization because we don't have that representation of diverse women within media. The norm is not a white, cisgender, straight female, so why is that what we see? And again, sometimes those aren't even done well. So when we have women of color, transgender women, women with different sexual preferences, sometimes those are done so poorly that the representation is just pathetic and awful. So within that, we have another issue. Again, I'm someone who consumes media on a daily basis. I appreciate the wonderful shows that they have out there. But as a consumer, I'm asking for people to do better. I'm asking for the media to give us something real, to show that women have value and are equal to men, because they should be. While I will never understand what it's like to be a woman of color or a transgender woman or a woman of a different religion than what I am, when I'm able to see those things reflected in media, I can have more empathy for those situations because that representation is there. Representation is important. It's highly, highly important for people to be able to sit down and see themselves reflected in a television show and see a diverse cast of characters reflected in a television show that's done well. This is important for us to understand each other culturally, in society, and just in general, and be able to respect each other and live in a world that does believe in equality and sees it as important. And I do realize that if we fix things in the media, that isn't going to fix everything across the board. But this video is talking about fixing things in the media, so I am focusing on that, and I am saying we need to do better. Every woman, whether she is Black, Asian American, Native American, transgender, straight, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, Muslim, Christian, or Buddhist, they should be able to see themselves reflected well. Representation is important to me, and I hope that it is important to you. That's all I have for today's video, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Stay weird.